Now we will move on to the fourth and final panel of the day, Educating the Educator for Education Disruption. First, we have a joyful, caring, friendly, and helpful Singaporean who authored the book Entrepreneurship Made Simple in 2003. He was a nominee for Spirit of Enterprise Award 2007 and was mentioned in the book Top Secrets to Becoming an Entrepreneur. Also an entrepreneurship trainer, he realizes anyone's dreams through assessing, facilitating, training, and sharing his experience and knowledge. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Jonathan Chi. Speaking alongside him, we have a motivational speaker, executive coach, and caregiver to his ill mother. He has gone through a series of setbacks, such as experiencing his parents' divorce and constant bullying at the age of 7. But since then, he has been featured in many articles and podcasts such as The Straits Times. And now he has a vision to inspire 20,000 people in the world by 2020. Please welcome Mr. Wei-Sin Chu. Next, we have a doctor of philosophy who is passionate about environment management. She believes that we ought to bring up our younger generations, making them conscious and sensitive to the effects of environment pollutants for healthy life and greener earth, and has wrote in various journals, magazines, and newspapers. She has also been invited to many universities, such as Stockholm University, and has been participating in various non-profit initiatives taken by various organizations in Singapore. She believes it's up to us to make the world we want our future generations to live in. Let's welcome Dr. Snigdha Sharma. With them, we have a secondary school teacher who has received the SPH Innovative Educator Award in 2017. She's an advocate of integrating the use of technology and current affairs to innovate her lessons. As a secondary to English level coordinator, she also provides guidance to her colleagues to design the integration of ICT and use in their teaching. Please welcome Ms. Mavis Ho. The next panelist is the founder, director, and People's First Leadership Academy for the People's First Leadership Academy. Please welcome Mr. Varada Murthy. And finally, chairing this panel, we have an educator by profession with specialization in managing schools, curriculum design, and planning and managing examinations. She has authored academic books and is a content writer and content reviewer for English, social sciences, and science. She's also an instructional designer for K-12. She's a graduate in history, honors, and a Bachelor of Education, and she holds a master's diploma in business administration from Symbiosis Institute of Management. Please welcome Ms. Sonia Kapoor.
Thank you, IYLIF, for having all of us here. And thank you, Aditi. That was a very impressive introduction that I think each one of us got away here. Talking about education, looking back since time immemorial, I think education deals with a lot of games. It's actually a game of experimentation. We've been experimenting with education. Am I right? Right from, I think, ancient India or ancient times. And this game is not going to stop. I don't think how the present times are. If anything, it is just going to accelerate. Being an educationist myself, I do understand the challenges of teaching, and I think teaching itself is a challenge. Teaching in today's times, I believe, is still a very traditional sector. It goes back to a very traditional field. And today what I see that a teacher is finding, she finds it very difficult to let go of the traditional ways of speaking, the traditional ways of writing, the traditional ways of reading, the traditional ways of learning, and the traditional ways of teaching itself. And this has become a major challenge for a teacher. And education, as we see, is on a fast track these days. It is going on a supersonic speed, and it is well out of just the books. Education doesn't belong to just books anymore. So for an educator and a facilitator, I think it is very important to be at pace with that education that we have today. Macy, Mavis, let's begin with you. Since you also are an educator, do you believe that there is an emergence of global movement in education? And would you also agree with me when I say that it's time for us to redesign pedagogy?
All right, now, firstly, there's two parts to your question. The first one is about the emergence of
the emergence of global movement in education.
Global movement in education. In terms of integrating technology in the way we teach, the way students learn, yes, definitely there is this this movement right now. And in fact, speaking as an educator in Singapore, right now we're embracing technology. We would try as much as possible to integrate IT, okay, into our education. So where can we learn? We talk about flipped classroom. In fact, in our MOE, our Singapore's education system, whereby we do give homework, okay, or reading materials on the internet for the students to read up before they come to class, and they're already prepared to do some certain assignments. So there's a lot of ways for us to integrate technology in our education. And in fact, like my student mentioned earlier, okay, students these days, they are digital natives. They are born with a smartphone device or mobile devices that, you know, engages them, entertains them. But how do we make use of such a tool to engage them even better? Okay, so if the students are already digital natives, the only way we can get to them perhaps is to also integrate technology in the way we teach. So therefore, like I mentioned a few examples earlier, like using flipped classroom methods. Okay, we can use Google. In fact, there's such a thing called Google Classroom. And in Singapore, we have a new platform that has been reported last year and has already been used in schools these days. It's called SLS, Singapore Learning, that's taken place on this online platform. Okay, so there's many ways for us to use the technology, and we should definitely embrace it. And that goes to the second part of the question, whereby how do we redesign pedagogy? Because teachers need to have the growth mindset. That's one of the causes for tomorrow. Trying to sell that growth mindset, because teachers, like we talk about lifelong learning, and that's the name of this place as well. Lifelong learning. If teachers do not upgrade their IT skills, for example, or think about how do we design our lessons to really truly engage the students and further enrich their learning, there's no other way. It's technology. So
very
definitely,
true, very
yes.
true, very true. Varda, my next question would go to you. Since you have transitioned from the corporate world into the education industry, so working it backward, what do you say about the corporate world? What does it expect from an educator, and what does it expect from the education system as such?
Education is evolved, and it is evolving, right? So as the role of a teacher. The teacher today cannot enter into a classroom wearing one hat. She has to wear many hats. Perhaps she is a teacher, she is a facilitator, she is a mother or a surrogate, she is a mentor, she is a guide, she is a coach, what all? I mean, she has to wear many hats and get into a classroom, because expectation from a teacher is skyrocketed. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Why so? Not because we pay huge fees, but also the expectation from the corporate world is such that the world outside is very competitive. So obviously every mother or every parent has a concern, and the corporate expects, what does that corporate expects from, say, a youth who is getting into a job? As a corporate professional, I must say that if I want to hire a youth today, I would expect him to be competitive. One, I expect him to be dynamic. I expect him to be a good communicator. When I say communication or a communicator, it's not just about communicating, it's about connecting. And there comes emotionally balanced as well. So how do you expect, and of course there is one more where they also need to know how to accept disappointments, setbacks, and it's not only for the corporate world but also for life as well. So I must say that, apart from all these expectations, I was just going through, and yes, so the challenges that our teachers face today, that expectation from different stakeholders. One is they are answerable to teachers, they are answerable to parent community, and they are answerable to students and the management as well.
And the society also, I guess?
Absolutely. Who are society? Parents are society. So people are some society, right? So having said that, now, but these are exciting times for teachers. They have plenty of opportunities for them to upgrade their skills and get into the classroom. So which wasn't the case earlier, right? So there is another challenge that I must, mention here. I was going through an article where it said, Gallup did a research, and it said that there are about 66% employees in the corporate world are disengaged. Imagine 66% of the employees in the corporate world are disengaged, meaning, say I hire a person, I pay $3,000 and he is not engaged at work. That's a huge challenge. I think it goes back to the ethics. So corporate said, please don't send only brilliant students academically, send them with these skills. Also, they are ethically correct. I think these are some of the expectations, and more so in the morning, the several panels that we have heard about different skill set that they need to have. Yeah, so I'll end this.
Okay. Jonathan, you have been contributing to the society by assessing, facilitating and training educators, by sharing your experience and knowledge. Now tell me, what in your vision is a challenge to the educator?
Ladies and gentlemen, the challenge to the educator is that you must keep up with time. Change is a must. So how do you keep up? You learn. How do you learn? From your passion. I believe passion creates solution. Agree or not?
Absolutely.
Invent excuses. There are thousands of excuses. Oh, it's going to rain. Sorry, boss, it's going to rain, heavy rain. Therefore, keep up with time. And you must face this generation gap. I got a friend lecturing in the poly. The boss called up. Hey, hello, your age, no? Can you still connect with the student? We have our physical age, but then if you have your mental age, remain stagnant at 20, 21, 34. Is there any law stating that you cannot be a child? I'm sure all the adults here, you have a child inside. Some is under what? High security jail, lock up. Therefore, release your child inside you. Join them. If you cannot beat them, join them. Why not? Isn't that the solution? Therefore, keep up with times. If your student, most of them like Korean pop, learn a bit of Korean word. Correct. You can encourage a Korean girl by saying what? Arun Tata, meaning you're beautiful. Thus, the challenge for educator is to keep up with time. How? Passion creates solution. Find your own solution. Cannot? All this here can help you. They are the expert, like execution code and so on. Don't be afraid to ask for help. No human being is an island. You got to Google. Of course, there's a lot of restrictions and so on. But the challenge to you, you love your student, love your participant, apply the Sun Tzu art of war. How? Love them as your child. Treat them as your children. sincerely want to help them. And most important, follow up. Follow up. Time constraint, I cannot go into too much thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Raisin, you have resolved to aspire to inspire before you expire. I love your mantra. I'll repeat it for everybody. Raisin resolves to aspire to inspire before he expires. How would you inspire our fellow facilitators and educators?
Okay, so before I begin, I would like to ask, how many of you are educators, facilitators, trainers, teachers? Damn, so many of you. Okay, well, how many of you aspire to be one? Raise up your hands. 1, 2, 3. Very nice. Okay, so one thing is, he has said a lot of my points that I wanted to say to you guys, but it's okay. But one thing is, this time round, this generation, Gen Y and Gen Z, it's not so much about the IQ, it's not so much about EQ right now. It's all about LQ. Have you heard of Jack Ma? Yeah, he said about this before, and that is love quotient. And what I meant about love quotient means, you got to love what you do. You got to love the people that you're serving. You got to do something for the people that has value-adding service. And it's not just about entrepreneurial stuff. It's not so much about being a publisher. It's not so much about being a speaker. It's not so much about being a teacher, but it's about who you're adding value to and how are you going to add value to the people. And as a teacher, how many of you go to work just wanting the money? Let's be factual, right? A lot of people, a lot of teachers nowadays, unfortunately, no shaming of teachers. I love teachers. In fact, I have a few teachers that have inspired me. However, there are those teachers who don't go for the students. They go for the money and the vacation. They go for the bling bling and the ding ding, right? One thing is, is it temporary or is it going to be forever? There's a reason why my brand is called Legacy, okay? Because I want to build a legacy before I leave. I'm not Li Ka-shing, I'm not Lee Hsien Loong or Lee Kuan Yew, right? But I'm just a Raisin Chu. What? So what, right? But then again, as long as you've set your mind into something and you want to make sure that it happens for you, it will definitely happen to you and for you as well. So if you want to be a great teacher, remember, be an edutainer and also a value-tainer as well. Why I say that? Because you're going to educate kids who are going to be more brighter than the 1916 kids. They're going to be more brighter than the Babylonian kids. Definitely, right? And also at the same time, they're going to be as innovative as the kid over there that's wowed me just now. He's an entrepreneur, 12-year-old, going to Harvard, and he's inspiring so many people, right? So what is your goal of being a teacher? Is it just for the money, for the fame, or is it going to be for the future generation? So it's all up to you to decide, all right? So yeah, so thanks a lot.
Great. Snigdha, you are passionate about environmental management. What is it that sparked this idea within you to train and educate educators?
Well, Sonia, first thing is that environment affects everyone. And often in the field of environment, you hear this term sustainable development, right? Have you all heard that term, sustainable development? Now, as an environmentalist and an educator, I wondered, what about the sustainable development of education? And if we want to get that kind of sustainable development in education, we need to get right at the source of the information, which is the educators. Unless we educate our educators, we cannot get the desired results, we cannot get the goal that we want to achieve with our future generations. And the technology it's developing at a wonderfully, amazingly fast pace. And if we are not going to keep up, the younger generation is going much faster than us. As an educator, we need to keep up so that we can keep up with them. And not only that, we can be the teachers for them.
That's right. Yeah, I guess to do justice to our students, to the society and to everybody around us, we need to, I guess. Snigdha, would you like to just sum it up?
Well, I think everyone has, what everyone has spoken is really, really important. And all I want to say is that the educators, as educators, what we need most importantly is to keep an open mind. We should be ready to learn throughout our lives, and we should be able to embrace and impart the knowledge that we get for ourselves. If we do that, we are going to have the new generation future ready.
Right, right. Absolutely. You know, we are at a digital crossroad where the education is concerned. And like Rahul earlier said, that the only constant in life is change. And in education, I think it's happening every day. So we need to open up our minds, and we need to be very open in acceptance and in change. We need to change our pedagogy. We need to change our curriculum. We need to reach out to the children so that we can be an asset to them. Thank you. Yeah, sure.
Maybe I would just want to add a little bit more. A lot of us were talking about how to innovate, how to engage the students, and we're living in this world right now when everybody is all about technology. But of course, there's some issues as well, but I think that has been covered in the previous panel as well. But the key thing is the teachers are here not to just earn money. So I just really need to clarify that. A lot of us are here because we have the passion, like what Mr. Jonathan Chi has mentioned. So yeah, I agree with the edutainment as well, but sometimes we cannot forget that the main focus is, of course, not to prepare them for the exams, but to prepare them for life, future ready.
Absolutely.
So the key skills that we need to really teach is how to harness technology for good. Yeah, and not fall prey to issues like cyberbullying, scams, identity thefts. But the key issue is really how can teachers have that growth mindset, the constant passion, the interest to entertain, but at the same time also want to educate them with the right values, the soft skills that is required for corporate world. Yeah, so these are the key things that educators should really take note of. And how do we upgrade ourselves and constantly question ourselves? Are we doing the right thing? How can we further improve so as to help the next generation and in turn let them be future ready?
Yeah. You know, we cannot compartmentalize education. It is not just about academics. It is way beyond.
I totally agree. I think everybody agree. Yes, thank you.
Any questions that anybody would want to ask?
Thank you for this discussion. I'd like to, actually, this question has been in me all along since, but I was didn't get the opportunity to ask. Because I actually come from, I was always thinking that I don't have the creativity, I don't have critical thinking. Until when I went overseas, I was given the opportunities and I dare to take out the challenge. And that's where my creativity comes back to me. So I believe that every one of us, in fact, we are born with the creativity in us. It's always that whether we are given the opportunities to stretch ourselves and to show that we have the critical thinking in us, we are creative. Thank you.
That's right. We just need to get out of our cocoons and become the butterflies.
So you were talking about how someone in the corporate world doesn't only need, education, but also soft skills. But do you think such a person can perform well in an office environment?
What kind of a person you mean?
Yeah, as you were stating that, someone who doesn't only require education or academics, but also soft skills.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you can't find everyone who has a good combination of both academics and soft skills. So, let me just finish. So I'm asking, do you think such a person who has soft skills but not that much of academics can excel well in an office environment?
Absolutely, absolutely. There are many instances that you can see that, people who are not academically brilliant, yet they are performing super well. I mean, if you look at a lot of entrepreneurs who have created multi-billion businesses, if you go back to them, and see academically, they are not brilliant. So many of them are average, but they went on to create those kind of giant companies. Absolutely.
Myself, Dr. Ram. Thank you for the panelists for your putting up your views. My question is, nowadays the schools as well as the higher learning institutes, they want to go out of the box from the curricular learning to add on the value for the extracurricular or this building lifelong learning for the transforming skills for the professionals like us. As per just now the guy he asked, they are looking for the professional skills or technical skills in order to develop the organizational standards to meet out for the competency to prove their fitness to the particular boundaries or the expectation of the companies. My question is, how do we leverage, because the students are very naive and the parents are non-millennials and mostly the challenge is the parents could not able to afford the enough support for the kids where they are learning the things from the schools, especially teachers are pushed toward, as per your organization also you are giving train the trainer or teacher skill. So how do the parents can cope up with these challenging things to provide the correct platform at home, as well as how to coordinate well with the schools to put more effort as well as the continuous support for the students to go up and shine in the competition world?
Yeah, is the question directed to me?
Anyone interested can
Anybody
share.
would like to answer? Well, I have a views on that. Also going back to his question of, can somebody without academic brilliance perform? Certainly yes, and at the same time, I'm not sure about the Singapore or any other country, but from Indian scenario, you need to academically perform well until a certain level, say 12th standard, which is 11 plus. So unless you score that 90-95%, you don't get into a good college, and that's one of the main reasons why they need to academically perform well. So we can't, although we say that you need to excel in other skills, but until such time you need to do that. But post that, what matters is skills. So after engineering or any other degree that you take, so skills matters. Now, just to give an example, in one of the B schools recently when I had been, so what they have done is for MBA students, so they have collaborated. I would say that industry and education should collaborate together, where industry knows what are the kind of skills that they need. So what they have done is that they have tied up with the institute. They have tied up with the industry. They have offered all the 60 students job in hand before even they started the MBA students. But what they are doing is, during the course of 2 years, they come regularly for about 6 hours a week to impart those industry knowledge for them. I think that's a fantastic thing. I must say that it should also happen at school level. At school level, students should be taken out to corporate houses, factories, manufacturing factories, and give them probably some practical exposure as well. I think that would go a long way. So,
ladies and gentlemen, I have this idea. International University of Life. What's that? For those who are not examination savior, you cannot pass exam. Well, this is your chance. Those are interested in starting this project, International University of Life. Your experience will count. You go through assessment and we see that if you are fit, then we go through bridging courses so that you can award certificate, diploma, and university degree. Well, it's an idea. But then, if you have the passion, we can turn it into a real university for life. Thank you.
Thank you, panelists. I think we're running out of time. May I request all panel members to remain seated in order to receive their token of appreciation. May I once again invite Ms. Sindhu Srivavan to come on stage to present the token of appreciation to the panel members. Put your hands together to thank Mr. Jonathan Chi. Mr. Raisin Chu. Dr. Snigdha Sharma. Miss Mavis Ho, Mr. Varda Murthy, and finally Miss Sonia Kapoor.
Can I request all the panelists to be there for the group picture, please? Thank you. Thank you so much. That was really insightful.